And good evening and welcome back, everybody. We missed you guys. It's been a while, right? We took a break, as we said, to get ourselves refreshed and relaxed and get ready for the stretch run, which is the second half of New York Red Bulls' regular season. In other words, welcome to episode 148, the New York Red Bulls discussion group, the podcast. I'm Garry, one of your hosts here. So, Red Bulls went down to deep in the heart in Texas and lost in the heat. And of course, it was a frustrating loss, and the 3-game winning streak was over. And we're going to talk about how that went, Austin FC versus New York Red Bulls. And about 8 days from now, because they're taking an international break, okay, because of that, we're going to also talk about Leagues Cup, the tournament that nobody wants us to participate in. But before that, we're going to talk about Toronto FC and the New York Red Bulls. That's going to take place on the 28th of this month. And of course, to talk about all of that and everything else, we're going to welcome back an old friend, the Fire. Daniel Feurestein has joined the show, and he's got some, last minute. He's got some last minute with one of our hosts, Lanre. I hope these guys are, kind of keep it civil, but something tells me that's not going to happen. Now, of course, we're going to talk, of course, there's some plus updates and reviews of New Jersey, New York, Gotham FC. They went to Utah, and boy, did they did those girls dirty. We're going to talk about that, of course, before the show. And, of course, big doings, okay, with New York Red Bulls 2. They got a new coach, someone very familiar, a son of a coach who's been here in the New York metropolitan area, formerly of Toronto FC, and we're going to talk about that, all about it, how he's going to fit in to help out the young guns focus their way into a championship. Now, you can catch the live show is happening as we speak right now, and you can actually catch the recording that will be available on our YouTube channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe. X, which was formerly Twitter, as everyone knows, and our home from the very beginning, Spotify.com. You can always catch those shows the very next day as they get uploaded for your viewing and watching pleasure. And of course, if you have any questions or comments, and of course, any questions for Dan and everything else about the podcast in general, feel free to email us. We have an email address, rbdgthepodcast@gmail.com. That's rbdgthepodcast@gmail.com. We've been getting a lot of your emails and such, and we love to read them and like to answer them, about the show and everything else. So keep it coming. We'll try to stress as we work on to make this podcast, Soccer-related content, one of the best ones out there in the cyberspace. And finally, although it was their birthday yesterday, we're going to repeat the favorite. Happy belated birthday to Neil Villapiano, Egon Delaney, and of course, Steven Santos. Hope you're out there enjoying your birthday. I hope you enjoyed your birthday and, of course, your Father's Day, with all your family and friends. And with that, let's kick things off to bring, of course, naturally, two of my wonderful hosts, Miguel Nunez, Acasa Nunez out in New Jersey, and the model, Lanre Badmus. Gentlemen, especially you, Papa Nunez, how was your Father's Day, man? I'm hoping it was really, really good, man.
Yeah, it was.
You paused. That was a scary thought there. I hope it was
the biggest Father's Day ever. Let me tell you why. I was allowed to stay home and do nothing and have the control in my hand, the TV control in my hand, and lounge.
The king had his throne, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
The king had his throne. Best Father's Day ever.
I'd rather not go anywhere. Just stay home. That's it. Okay. The day before, I attended a very nice wedding.
I saw the photos. Very nice. Very nice.
It's that Croatian church on 41st Street in Manhattan, which I've passed 1,000 times because the entrance to the Lincoln Tunnel is right next to it. So on the way back from NYC, I would see this massive church. And the first time I was able to attend, and then there was a very nice reception by Morristown, New Jersey, and it was like big money, big money,
huh? Okay.
But they lost money on me. Lots of sushi was eaten,
Lanre, I know you was out there styling and profiling and looking absolutely fine with the lady I can't say ladies, but with your lady, I mean, looking absolutely good. So I know you had a great weekend until you heard the final score. Well, which I know you're gonna. Before you begin, let's talk about this. Let's get this out the way, boys. Team was winning. Team was doing great well at home, 3 in a row, knocking on opponents left and right. Went one more round, of course, in the U.S. Open Cup. Fans were feeling good. Fans were feeling fine. Then they went down to Austin, and then for some crazy reason, the team did not look like themselves. You guys want to explain that one to me? I'm sure you guys watched the game. I'm sure you guys watched the highlights. And you guys didn't even mince words, throw me jabs left and right. Especially you, Lanre. You just came at me like I was Austin FC. We need to explain, to talk about that in about a minute.
I got smoke for everybody. Whenever
let's hear it.
Everybody inside.
Let's hear it. I mean, I'm sure you got. I mean, you've been saving up said smoke since the Knicks. So I know you ready for you fight. But what happened? I mean, what did you see that did not look right off the bat, man?
Well, they got scared of the Heat. They got scared of the Texas Heat as if the same club didn't literally beat them 4-3 in their house in that exact same stadium 3 years ago.
But that was 3 years ago. They're a different team now.
I don't know. I think it just came out lethargic. They lacked energy. They lacked hunger. They lacked drive. They lacked passion. They lacked ambition. They lacked aggression. They lacked everything that you need to win a football match. And, of course, Austin wasn't super great either, but
no,
we were just that much worse than them.
No, I mean they were looking for a first win in how many at home since how many games, and we're trying to get their second win on the road. Speaking of which, Miguel,
I just want to ask.
Go ahead.
Okay, how on earth? This is a team that lost Sebastian Driussi last year. How do we lose to an Austin FC team that no longer has Sebastian Driussi on its roster?
How do you lose to Austin FC that can't score, and yet drop 2 on you? That's even a better question, Miguel. I mean, how did this happen? I mean,
what? They were ball watching. They were standing around. You see those goals? They were just like, I haven't seen so much ball watching or like standing around and doing nothing since like my kid was in an under 18, man. Come on. That second goal was like ridiculous, Cornell might have done better. Okay. Now, that first goal, like, come on, man.
Dudes were standing around. They thought it had a handball.
Standing around.
I didn't hear a whistle. So that was the first mistake. I was like, why are you guys standing around looking for, looking for something? I'm like, it's like, okay. And then ball popped in the net.
Yeah.
That made me sick. I'm like 6 minutes in, and you're going to do this? You're going to do this, y'all? 6 minutes in?
That said, Garry, we tied it up. It was own goal, made an appearance again. And then, but Carballo should have scored, Garry. Maybe Wiki Carmona should have scored. Come on.
Wiki slipped at the time when he
pulled
the trigger.
Take
That's
your
embarrassing.
Chances, man.
I'm sorry, man. That was embarrassing. Poor guy. I have to give it to him, Lanre. That's one shot he wished he had back. If he had stayed on his feet, that ball was in, bro. That ball was in. I'm serious. That ball was in, okay? Could have been 2-1 us. But flip the script. Vasquez giveth, Vasquez taketh. And
man really scored a goal on both ends, and he scored the winning goal.
I mean, it was one of those, it was one of those matches where, and I agree with Nick. Second goal simply cannot happen. That's what I was I was very annoyed. I did the game thread. Milton Solis, took his spot because he has something to do. He's gonna take care of the next game. But I did not hide my disappointment at all. I was like, look, you know how much I always cheer Lanre for the defense, right? I was not happy. I was like, what? Yo, come on. Y'all were statues. You were worse than ball watching. You were statues. I laid into them. I was like, what the? Nah. You going to let this dude dance right in the box and pop right in after the cross? And y'all going to just stand there like supermodels. What? What's wrong with y'all? I mean, you know, it's funny. You guys were supposed to bring the smoke. I'm bringing the smoke left and right.
You're calling them supermodels. What's crazy is you're calling them supermodels. I'd have done more on that pitch, and I'd have looked damn good doing it.
I mean,
So,
what the hell?
Models, bro. They're not even models, bro.
What is
that? They have to be beating their own ass for how they lost that game. They have to be beating their own ass. They have to suffer. They have to want to die for this club.
Unfortunately, we don't have those ballers. We ain't got guys like that. Unfortunately,
Yeah,
I'm sure we do.
A
couple of people. I mean, it was a type of loss that you want to forget, right? You just want to move on, okay? Coach was not happy during the presser at all. He was just, he was not happy. He was like,
rightly so.
And on top of that, he's suspended. He's suspended along with he's suspended along with Stroud. He's also he was already on a yellow card warning. Okay, he was one away from hitting the bench, so he gone for Toronto. So you're not going to see the coach. You ain't going to see Stroud. Yellow card accumulation. Stroud was basically yelled at. I mean, excuse me. Sandro was basically being yelled at. He was yelling at them. They were yelling at each other. Many yellow cards left and right. He was wondering, where are we getting hit with these yellow cards coming out of left field, and yet you didn't hit anybody in green? Until, it's is there a chance we see a coach fired? No. No. It ain't that serious. Travel pass. You see him in last place? And when I mean last place, I mean in 30th place. Okay, if the answer is no, he ain't going nowhere. Okay.
Let me tell you something, Garry. Michael Bradley's being groomed now. Okay, for the head coaching position. Okay, please tell me no. Go ahead.
Yeah,
he's being groomed. Okay.
He's green, man. He's so green. He's about as green as the team that wore the team, that was wearing that uniform back. Nah.
Let me ask you.
But I agree with you, Matthew. There was a reason why Sandro was beefing. Okay, the officiating was horrible. I mean, comically horrible. It's like he grabbed these dudes off the street, gave them a whistle, and go ahead, go officiate this game. I mean, what? Whoa. I mean, I saw so many yellow cards, I thought I was seeing corn.
Garry, were those replacement refs?
I don't think so. I looked it up in the website. The website went down. Oh, the pro referee website went down. Okay, so I had to get some information.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, it went down. Came up earlier today, and the official was basically there for a while. So yeah. He did not have a good day. And, of course, as far as the match recap is concerned, yes, I know. I'm going to hear from everybody. Garry, why are you showing the recap after the team's loss? Because we are contractually obligated to do so. Speaking of, here it is, the 2-1 loss.
The heat of summer in Austin tonight at the start of another historic month for soccer in America. Owen Wolff with the corner, which is met at the near post and appeals for a handball as it's lifted back in deeper and headed into the net. Biro, the ever-present, and they're in the right moments, and Austin break the deadlock early amid New York Red Bulls complaints.
That's quickly muted the fact that Wolff puts in a spectacular second ball into Biro.
Forsberg. Stuver's punch. Forsberg will have another go. It's dangerous, deflected, and in! It's an own goal, I think. But one thing we do know is that the New York Red Bulls are level. Forsberg's delivery, and an Austin head deflects it past Brad Stuver. And we have a level game, 1-1.
Forsberg. It comes back similar to how Austin went and got their goal. Two crosses in quick succession as he puts it in.
Carmona lifts it back in. That's deep. Will it stay in play? Edwards does so, finds Duncan. There's some space. There's the cross. Choupo-Moting in there at the back post, then deflected, and it lands on top of the net. Saw some of those names that they have available on the bench. Sean Nealis being one of them. Now here comes Wolf. Runner is Bakari. Oh, his touch took him wide. His shot is deflected. That's Gallagher. And Wolf to hit it. Blocked. Deschler arriving for the right back position. Still the danger there for Austin.
Goes so well with his touch. Quick loose pass, and all of a sudden Austin through Wolf, who's playing further forward in this match. He sets Bakari on, who needs to hit that ball instead. It's a loose touch, takes him too wide. But look at this from Wolf. Opens up the chance. But there's Stroud. What a block. That from Bakari. Needs to be better, needs to be more clinical. He's overthinking it to get that extra touch. Forces him to a pass rather than going for goal himself. Like that.
The driving run, it's Carmona, and it's opened up for him, and he slipped as he shot, and it's just wide.
What an opportunity. I think that really suits him where he's playing tonight. Further forward through the middle of the pitch.
Here's the cross, and it's turned in at the near post. Vasquez finds the net, and at the right end this time, Austin are back in front.
There wasn't any more options going forward. They get their foot on the ball, get numbers up, and now Bakari can operate in this position. This is what Austin needs to see.
Edwards reading the pass though towards Bakari. He's out of position now because he stepped up, and so Bakari now is on the run, and he's pulled the Red Bulls defence across. Vasquez's cross, and it's going to be Wolf. It's 3. Number 33 may have got them on their way to 3 points, but there is a flag up, and it won't count for now.
Vasquez is about half a body length offside. And Ayla, the right-sided centre-back, he knows what he's doing. He's just held himself up enough. Too bad in an Austin standpoint, because what a great goal. Had a little bit of everything happen there, and Wolf has been really good tonight.
Is Morgan the surprise package? He steps over. Forsberg hits it. Good save, Stuber. Potentially saves 3 points for his side.
Stuber, it's the side that he's on, but that ball is traveling, and he's screened a little bit.
And at the other end, Azuni now brings it upfield. Here's Anna O'Brien. 3-on-1. O'Brien into the box. Oh, a brilliant save at the other end from Coronel. Sends it over for the corner. Both goalkeepers excelling.
So he needs to be on his toes. Good, solid save. No Brian. That touch just takes him away, and you're waiting for the ball to the net. The Coronel.
And the referee has blown his whistle. It is all over. Big home win for Austin. Their first since April the 19th. It's 2 straight victories for Nico Estevez and this Austin group.
And so when it was all said and done, final score, Austin FC 2, New York Red Bulls 1, Bureau and Vasquez twice. He scored in 51st, gave us a goal in the 23rd. Basically, there was really nothing much to go in there except the fact that midfielder Peter Stroud, he got his 5th yellow card of the season. He's going to be suspended for New York's next match, and that will take place at BMO Field on Wednesday the 25th. Did I say the 28th? My apologies. 25th at Battle Toronto FC at 7:30. Also joining him will be the head coach, of course, also receiving too many yellow cards of his own. He is suspended. So, Lanre, this was, as you said earlier, this was a bad loss, bad night.
Terrible.
I mean,
completely shambolic. There's no excuse for the type of defending that I saw, that you saw, that Miggy saw, that any of us saw. You know, we have to demand better from this club. And, you know, right now, it's just, yeah, it was nice that, you know, we had a nice little game-winning streak, but, you know, you're only as good, as the saying goes, you're only as good as your last game. And right now, that last game was complete shit. So, yeah, they got to show me something in Toronto on Saturday. They really do.
Well, they got 8 days to do that. Right now, they're sitting in 8th
Wednesday,
place.
that's Wednesday.
Wednesday. They're sitting in 8th place. Of course, naturally, after we do this, game, of course, we're going to be doing that after, so we're going to take ourselves a week break as well. Miguel, I can't put this any more plainer than the fact that there's an inconsistency problem. We're winning 3 straight at home, but if you're only going to be taking care of business at home and not doing well on the road, that's an issue, no?
Yeah. I mean, we should at least be getting a point on the road, like every time we go out there, if not winning some games. But we can't have a defense playing like that.
No.
And expect to get anything out of the game, okay? Especially when the chances you do get, they're not being clinical, okay? So they could at least shut it down at the back, and maybe earn a draw or maybe a 1-0 victory on the road every once in a while, okay? And let me tell you something, Garry, it wasn't that too long ago, maybe even last year, where a lot of people are saying that statistically our defense is the best and blah, blah, blah. No longer.
Yeah,
no
exactly
longer.
That, but I was sounding the bell saying, okay, if you're going to be, injuries aside, gentlemen, right? Injuries aside, if you're going to constantly rotate defenders, right? You had Nealis in there sometimes. You had Hack in there sometimes. You had Edwards in there sometimes. And then of course this team, when we lost Omar Valencia, he was bringing a little bit of bite, to on the on the left hand side. He went down with an injury and stuff like that. I mean, it's hard to try to sustain. We want that to happen, to sustain that level of excellence, but then when you can't sustain it, and you, in some cases, and often than not, you get exposed. And to Lisa's point, it's something that we come up with all the time. We've been consistently inconsistent. And you figure that after all this is all said and done, that should have changed. I'm not so convinced, Tom, that the 2-week layoff had something to do with it. Maybe they had me concerned, but it seems that, it seems that, it always been stink bit with this team. It's hard to try to keep that level of energy up, 2 weeks later, and then we get back right into it. One thing for certain, this team is very difficult to beat, but not so difficult when your defense falls asleep like that. And that's alarming. You can't, like Lanre said, you can't drag this into the next game. You just can't. You really can't. And I agree with you, Nicholas. Rotating center backs ain't working. Either Edwards, who doesn't want to play, neither is Edwards, who I already routinely said that he was a disappointment, at least to me. I thought we was going to get the LA Galaxy, Raheem Edwards. He hasn't shown up. Most of the time when he's on the pitch, he looks a little lost, like he's waiting for something to do. It's like something he has to be told what to do. So, any game balls in this match, boys, or are we just going to just throw this in the trash and keep it moving?
Throw it in the trash, keep it moving.
Please, come on.
Yeah. There's nothing heroic. There's nothing heroic about a loss like this. Especially where if you had a bad taste in your mouth, right? You're angry about this. You're more angry that it was the way they lost, not necessarily about the loss itself. Am I, making sense about this, Lanre? That's more like that. We were more mad about the way we lost. It's like, no fight, no nothing. I'm not saying you'll lay down like dogs, but spots like that, that can't happen.
No,
that really can't happen.
It's
that cannot happen.
Really. It's inexcusable. I don't know how many times Raheem Edwards has lost his man. Nick just said it. Yeah, we're waiting for Chelo Morales and Omar Valencia to get fully healthy. Hopefully,
but that's not a sustainable answer. I'm sorry. If you got to wait for 2 guys to get healthy, to get back on track, then that's an issue. That's an issue. I'm looking at 2 guys who were supposed to, solidify this roster. Yeah, I'm looking at you, head of sport. I'm looking at you, sporting director. We got a summer window, and now we're going to be looking for for reinforcements early. Especially in the midfield, because we're probably going to lose Caballo. He's probably walking out of here when it's all said and done. And then
I'm sure he's counting the days, Garry.
He's counting the days. He doesn't have that bite anymore. I remember when Caballo was switched on. Okay, you couldn't get this guy off you when you had the ball, right? Everywhere you go, he was a shadow. Now, not so much. He's waiting for the day for him to get out of Dodge. Okay. For the other Edwards we had, I wish. the other Edwards, yeah, I wish, but he ain't coming back to the States, bruh. I mean, that dude I miss.
Edwards, what a
Tom
beast.
Edwards. That dude I miss.
Had heart, had integrity, who had honor, who played for the shirt.
He was a pain. Okay. He was a pain. He was my guy. He was my guy. I loved him. He bullied people.
I love that guy, man.
He did not care. Get in his face in your peril. But that's basically how he was. He was a pain. Too bad he wanted to go back home. I mean, not sure why.
Baby, I think, right?
Yeah, he had a baby.
His girlfriend was pregnant.
Family first. Family first. You can't leave your family behind. Like the
baby's like 3 now, right? So like he could technically come back.
But no. You're playing in the championship when you're making 3 times money soccer. So you ain't you ain't coming back. Nah. You make, even if he's with a scrub squad, you're making money. So you win out. Okay, I'm making enough money. We're gonna put away in the bank, and take care of my kids and the college and everything else. And all I gotta do is run around and kick a ball. Good work if you can find it. So that's basically it. I mean, the loss drops the team to 8th place, in the Eastern Conference table. Not the most, not the most desirable place we're in, but hey, we were flirting. Remember, we were flirting with 6 for a while. Then everybody above us started winning. That's how tight the Eastern Conference is, and it's going to be like that. It's going to be like that the rest of the way. So points is going to be right, Miguel. Lanre is going to be, very important in coming down the stretch. So you got this, right. You got this, Leagues Cup break. Use it. Get yourself healthy in that. Oh, by the way, Lewis Morgan, he made his appearance. He looked good. We were all holding our breath, and no one didn't tackle him very hard. So he wound up back in there.
Yeah, also, Garry, I got to remind everybody that we have a chance to advance in the U.S. Open Cup coming up at the beginning of next month. Or is it the end of this month? We play at Philly. Okay?
Yeah. Well, that's where that's going to die. We haven't beaten those dudes since, 2018 at their house? So it's a tall assignment. I can see it being us being swept, but I'm holding hope out that we can at least get one of those games. I don't care if we lose the regular season game, but get the cup win out the way. Get that. I mean, give these fans some hope and stuff like that. Charles Atkinson, thank you for correcting me. Yes, he is. He is basically in League 2 in the 4th Division of England. He hasn't been with a championship team for a while. His fit career should come back here. Well, that's between Charles. That's between him, his agent, and this team. Okay, if he has any inclinations of coming back here, maybe he should. I don't know if he's going to be the very same player, though, because there's a big difference between the championship MLS and what, League 2? I mean,
4th tier.
That's 4th tier, bro. That's 4 tiers down. I mean,
this is the prime of his career. He's playing in League 2. He's 26 now.
Yeah, I mean, reach out, get that boy back. I mean, he loved playing here. I mean, this one thing. If it wasn't for the family issue, Charles, he loved playing here. The fans loved him, but he had to go home. That's how it is. I mean, that's, when you got young kid on the way and everything else, same things got to happen. Things, priorities tend to shift. So what we're going to do is we're going to take ourselves a 30-second break. But before we go, here's what happened in Week 19 of Major League Soccer. Our next match, of course, is Wednesday, June 25th, over in Toronto, Ontario, BMO Field. But before that even happens, Dan Feurestein is going to explain to us about, of course, Leagues Cup and why some folks really don't care for it in this iteration of this tournament. Okay, explain this to me. You and I and Anthony have been talking about this on and on and on and on. You got one group, of the camp saying they don't really care about this League Cup, but then you have a lot of people who do. What made it different this time? We're playing a lot of Mexican top sides, and why do I got a funny feeling that this club is going to be exit stage left very quickly this time around? Go ahead, Dan.
Quicker the better, in my opinion, just because I have no value in Leagues Cup at all. Look, I mean, they can say whatever they want. They can tell you, oh, it's going to be a wonderful thing. You're going to face these teams from Mexico. They'll be over here and there and everywhere. And it's still going to be a tremendous tournament. In reality, it's all a sham. It's fake. The trophy is made out of chocolate and it's wrapped up with Reynolds wrap foil. Here's the problem I have with Leagues Cup, and I don't care what anyone says. Okay? Why is it, number one, that we have to have this competition with now it's no longer all the clubs from Mexico, from Liga MX. Now it's only a certain amount of clubs.
I mean, there's some grumblings from Liga MX. They don't like the idea that it's playing on their soil.
That's why I'm going to get to that, Gary. I'm going to get to that. I'm going to get to that, and hopefully Lanre will come back with the camera. See, Liga MX, to me, are the vagabonds of this tournament.
Vagabond?
And of course, all of you know what a vagabond is, a traveling bum.
Right, okay.
But they're not bums.
They're bums by law.
They're using MLS stadiums as home games. That should not be happening.
Not for a league like this. No, not for a league like that.
This is ridiculous. And this is all about, really, MLS finding ways to get rid of the Open Cup. That's the reality of the situation. They continue to disrespect the Open Cup. They continue to disrespect U.S. soccer. They are trying to act like not only as a league, but as the federation. And because they reworked this Leagues Cup to force CONCACAF to give them 3 extra spots in the revamped Champions Cup.
Right.
They're trying to be a league, the federation, and CONCACAF all rolled into one. That cannot happen. That is why we have different tiers, and that's what makes this game so beautiful, Gary. You have league business, then you have federation business, which is the national business for the national team, for the youth teams, and what the clubs have to go through to battle each other, become the best club of that season. And then you have the international level, where you have the confederational business, like the Champions League, like the Europa League, the Copa Libertadores, the Copa Sudamericana, CONCACAF Champions Cup. If MLS wants to have every year a short tournament between MLS clubs and Liga MX clubs, well, it's really simple. Talk to CONCACAF to bring back the CONCACAF League and just give those 3 spots to those teams that, A, do not go to the Champions Cup. Wherever they are in the total points table in Liga MX, and whatever clubs are available that are not in the Champions Cup through the Supporter Shield, put them into this, the CONCACAF League. And then you'll have it all goal aggregate. You can have it in the fall, September, October, August, September, October, November, or December, whatever you want to do it in. Goal aggregate, 3rd place finisher goes to the first round. The runner-up goes to the first round, and the champion of the CONCACAF League goes to the round of 16, not the Leagues Cup. I'm sorry. This is all the mechanisms of MLS trying to become, financially and to attempt to rule in the north zone of this region so they don't have to worry about the Open Cup anymore.
Okay,
You don't see that
yeah,
anywhere else around the world.
no.
You
I
don't see that.
mean, what I see around when I to your point, Daniel.
The FA Cup? I mean, it's
Yeah, you
ridiculous.
don't.
Go ahead,
No,
Gary.
you
I
don't see that.
apologize.
No, no. What I
Hmm.
do see around the world is other FAs that got their house in order, and they're telling other leagues like FIFA and everybody else, this is how we run things, and because they've been doing it for so long, for over a century, right? FIFA's got no choice but to play ball with them a little bit, but they are the 110 pound gorilla in the room. But I don't see UEFA, right? For example, getting bossed around by those guys. I mean, they're like, no, you need us. We don't need you. Miguel, I know you had some questions for Daniel. I'm going to let you loosen, at this point. Go ahead, man.
Yeah. So then, and I totally agree with you in regards to the this cup with the Mexican team, Stan. But let me ask you something, and I don't know if you've thought about it. I've thought about it a lot, but I think MLS it would be better for the calendars to align if you want to have so many competitions. Okay, this is my thinking. I think if the calendars aligned with the European calendars, for instance, okay, we wouldn't have like all this stuff that's going on now during the summer. Okay, like this bogus cup, it could be held at another time. Okay, like in the fall, spring, like that, and they'd have time for the U.S. Open Cup as well. Okay, what do you think?
Here's what I think, Miguel, and I understand where you're coming from. And the reality is this: while it is a good idea, and hopefully that while I've said this many times, regardless if it's the roster rules, the archaic designations of DP, GAM, TAM, Wham, Bam, thank you, ma'am. I mean, when are we going to become a big boy league? Some will say we are, but when it comes to the roster restrictions, and basically, we saw what Inter Miami tried to do without the permission of Don Garber. They went against the roster rules until Messi came over. Then they went to, can you help us, Don? Yes, now you've come to the right place. Now I'll help you circumvent the roster rules so that you can bring Messi and friends to Inter Miami. So basically, this is all what Don is trying to do, and the league. Look, I give Don Garber a lot of credit for what he's done with MLS ever since he took over for Doug Logan. I will not dispute the fact that he has been a tremendous commissioner for the league. I applaud him for what he had to do when they contracted the Tampa Bay Mutiny and the Miami Fusion, and then they restarted this whole thing when Real Salt Lake came in.
Forgotten that.
Guadalajara, Chivas. Well, that's why I'm here, Gary. I'm also a historian, don't you know that?
Chivas USA. Chivas USA.
I'm not official. I don't have the Mickey Mouse. I have the Mickey Mouse badge somewhere in my bedroom. Other than that, I'm not official. Nudge, wink, wink. But but the plan that he had to survive, to keep the league going from 12 to 10, and then of course the bump really came after the World Cup run in South Korea and Japan in 2002. Without those two mechanisms, MLS is not here. And I give Don the credit for what he has done. But when you continue on to try to circumvent the natural order of the game, as I've said, and I know, Lanre, I'll say it again for you because I know you ran out, unfortunately, not due to your own making, of course. You have league business, you have federation business, you have international business, CONCACAF business. When MLS is trying to intertwine all three together into their own room, that's a recipe for disaster.
Yes.
That is a recipe for disaster. And that is why the continuance of the disrespect of the Open Cup because of that. I know what they're trying to do, and you know what? While it's a great idea, and at first I'll admit, when they created Superliga back in the day, I thought it was a great idea. I really thought it was a great idea. Why not bring the excitement of USA versus Mexico in a club form done by both leagues? But now I see it. It's a sham. It's a fraud. That can't happen.
Super
We
fraudulent.
cannot allow this farce to continue to destroy what we've built here, because the reality is this: the clubs in Mexico don't want any part of it. They don't. They're forced to do so because of the partnership with the front office of Liga MX and MLS.
Right.
Do you guys, I mean, I'm being serious here.
No.
In Mexico.
You're echoing what I'm hearing, basically.
In Mexico, there is no sporting merit with Leagues Cup. There was I forget the gentleman's name, but of course I'm using from Football Americas, Hercules Gomez, Sebastian Salazar, when on ESPN Plus. One of the most famous broadcasters of Mexican football calls Leagues Cup the Chimichanga Cup. Calls it the Chimichanga Cup because basically they are disrespecting this farce, and they have every right to do so. I mean, you saw the fans across the league boycotting the supporters groups, at the Sports Illustrated Stadium, South Ward, all of those guys, and everywhere else.
Yeah, not just them, everywhere. I mean,
not everyone. Even in St.
Oh my
Louis.
God! Oh, I have something I need to say, Daniel. I do not mean to cut you off, brother. But oh my God! Remember, I made a post around this time last year about how the Leagues Cup was a farce, and that obviously the supporters clubs, like Viking Army and Empire Supporters Club, Prestige 96, all that, they were boycotting it. I made a post at that time saying that if you seriously attend those games, for the Leagues Cup games, as a fan, knowing how much of a farce this tournament is, knowing how this is destroying the integrity of everything that makes American soccer great, destroying the fabric of the Open Cup, you know that, and you still attend those Leagues Cup matches as a fan, I have to brand you as a company man or company woman, and I got flamed for that.
You did.
Yes, I'm still pissed about that crap.
You shouldn't have been.
I got flamed.
Yeah,
you shouldn't have been.
Everybody blamed me for that crap, bro.
He did, but they didn't understand.
I'm still mad as hell.
Yeah, they didn't understand.
Everybody had something to say about that.
I know.
I want to speak my mind now. Now y'all have an opinion about me.
Lanre, let me just say this right now, Lanre. It should never have happened. You were right. You are absolutely correct. That should never have happened. Because either you get shills for the league, and don't get me wrong, like I said, I want the league to do well. We all want the league to do well.
Of course.
You know how long it took just for this league to finally break through? Not just, getting the World Cup in 1994, starting it in 1996, that bump in the road from after the 2000 season. They had to make the contraction for those two clubs in Florida, and then all of a sudden the World Cup success in South Korea and Japan, and then
never
all
heard
the way up.
Of it during that time.
The problem is,
there were,
yes,
not to cut you off. There were articles all over the place. You remember, Dan? There were articles all over the place saying this is the end of MLS. Here it comes. The Sharks were in the water. So
exactly.
They were all even the networks, right? They didn't even want to give MLS a chance. We're like, well, let's go back to the usual. We got the NFL, we got the NBA, we got the NHL. The hell with MLS. Soccer would never survive here, and we said so. But then a funny thing happened, right?
Yeah, exactly.
People started showing up to matches. People started, taking a look at, MLS as far as a affordable family night, as opposed to, I don't know, Miguel, going to a Yankee game and spending north of $200 a pop just to get in the place. Never mind
it's
the popcorn.
Double this time around, Garry.
Yeah, that too.
It's double this time around. Now it's like $400 because you're going to get yourself a big meal. You're going to take the money out of your rear end for parking. The tickets are unbelievably expensive, and then of course let's not forget merchandise, program, the beers.
I think
the
we
drinks,
all agree.
Everything.
I think we can all agree on this. Okay, as much as I appreciate the league, deciding that, I don't appreciate the league. What I don't appreciate is the league decided that, you know what, we're going to corner, the soccer market by doing, our own thing instead of trusting U.S. soccer to make the tournament.
Well, that's
bigger.
That's a different kettle of fish right there.
Yeah,
but
I
that's
know.
a
There's a
different
conversation for another day.
Exactly.
I'm more of a, as you know me, guys. I'm more of a traditionalist more than anything else. My thing is this, okay? You're trying to tell me, and I'm pointing the finger right at the dudes, at the men and women at U.S. Soccer. This is your tournament. This is your party, and you're trying to tell me you can't get a big name sponsor, okay? You can't bring big money into this tournament. I guarantee you that if the winner's share, Lanre, was like 4, 5, 6 times that it is right now, you see a lot more clubs giving a damn about this tournament. Okay?
Absolutely.
More importantly, a lot of the small clubs, they don't take this seriously. Oh, are you kidding? They treat this as this is their Super Bowl. What if I said this time and time again? This tournament makes scrubs into superheroes, and they have knocked out a big club in MLS more than once. Hell, knocked out the Red Bulls more than once. So we've got the history. So don't tell me that you can't make this. Now, they've done some things to make it more visible. Kudos, okay? Should have did that 10 years ago. I'd say put all the games on YouTube and just have fun. That's it. Every game, every match on YouTube, whether you like it or not, everybody's streaming these days, right? So make it accessible, okay?
Well, Gary, I will say this.
Semifinals, got to be big network. No, I'm not talking ESPN or something like that. Got to be big net. CBS, NBC, hell, ABC. Put it there.
Gary, let me tell you right now. CBS Sports is now the exclusive partner of the Open Cup. They're in it. Now you can watch matches on CBS Sports Network. And if you you go on Pluto TV online, go to CBS Sports Galazzo Network, you can watch an Open Cup match there. Yeah. They even had Open Cup Whip Around show. The Galazzo show
I saw that.
Did Open
Cup
Whip Around. That was fantastic. Listen,
well done.
CBS Sports has done more. And I give ESPN credit for the 2 to 3 years they had it. They had every match of every round. I give them credit for that. But ever since CBS Sports took it over, now they have a studio show. They had studio show from pregame, halftime, in between games, post game, in between games. It's like night and day because on ESPN, every time the match went to halftime, you had a recording blurb from John Champion and Taylor Twellman at the time. You didn't have, a desk conversation with Tony Meola, Ali Trost, Charlie Davies, Mike Grella, and they're showing highlights of the first half of the current games, and then when you go to the next games, then you see the full highlights of all the first games at 7:30, at the 8:30 games, or even at the Pacific Coast games. It's like night and day.
Yeah.
And the problem is, once again, and you're right, Gary, the prize money needs to be more. Look, so far, great job by U.S. Soccer to get New York Life Insurance, Michelob Light Ultra. They also got Marriott Bonvoy, and they got more money from Nike to be a part of the Open Cup. But you're absolutely right. They need a title sponsor.
Yeah, need a title sponsor.
And if it's American Express, go for it. If it's Chase Bank, go for it. If it is Chevrolet cars or Ford cars, American brand names, even American Distillery, you can use Budweiser if you want. Go for it. Bring it in.
Other tournaments have done the same. Why can't we?
You can do U.S. Open Cup sponsored by Budweiser.
Yeah. Why can't
you can do that? Why exactly? Why can't we? But once again, it is their tournament. And, there are people inside Soccer House, whether they're now in Atlanta or they're still in Chicago, whatever it is, I don't know. But there are people in U.S. Soccer in the Open Cup committee that wants to make this tournament special. CBS has already made it special.
I don't want it special. I want it big.
They've already done it. They've already made it special.
I want it big.
Now it's time for U.S. Soccer to really.
I want to England big.
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly.
Big, where
exactly.
you have and I'm going to close the door on this because we still have some show to left. Where you have just 2 seasons, guys. You got MLS regular season, and then you got you got U.S. Open Cup.
Yep.
That's it. Except no substitutes.
Exactly.
That's
it. And here's the other thing too, guys.
Greatest show on turf.
Exactly. I mean, I call the Open Cup the national championship of American soccer. I equal this to the NCAA Final Four basketball tournament because it's the same thing. It is the same thing. And what I'll do is this, because I know, Gary, I'll email it to you. I'll send you some of my articles about fixing the Open Cup.
Yeah.
Because
you are the United States champion. It's all said and done. You punch your ticket to the CONCACAF Champions Cup.
That's right.
That's why people want to take that seriously.
Exactly. Absolutely.
Okay, moving on.
And one more thing real quick. Real quick. And this is on the league as well. This is on MLS as well. I was able to read an article from Jonathan Tannenwald from the Philadelphia Inquirer talking about when MLS brought out the brand new idea of the multiple competitions MLS clubs are involved with. Leagues Cup, Champions Cup, Open Cup. If you go to the Champions Cup, you don't go to the Open Cup, but you'll play Leagues Cup. If you go to the Open Cup, you don't go to the CONCACAF Cup, but you go to the Leagues Cup. And the second in command, I should maybe more like the third in command, our good friend Nelson Rodriguez. Yeah, fraud. When Jonathan Tannenwald interviewed him, and he asked him a question about, why do you think fans are fed up, or why do you think they're not going to Leagues Cup now and all that stuff? Well, it's like a brand new, wonderful idea. It's called fan fatigue.
Too many games.
Fan fatigue for the wrong reasons, my friends. Fan fatigue. What is fan fatigue? We're fatigued because...
If you can get 80,000 fans to what is nothing more than a glorified friendly, preseason friendly, then come on. There's no such thing as that. All right.
Exactly.
Let's just say let's move on. Of course, we're going to talk about the Red Bulls' next game. That's not going to happen until next weekend. Not this weekend. Next Wednesday. Midweek, right? And that is Toronto FC. Now, last time anybody seen these two teams, okay, this is the return match. The Red Bulls did play at, Toronto FC at home. Well, it's head-to-head. They've been around for a while. These are 25, 11, and 10. The Red Bulls basically dominate this. At Toronto, 7-7-8. This is going to be their 44th regular season meeting. Last win against Toronto FC was that 4-1 drubbing up in the BMO Field. Lanre, this team hasn't changed very much since the last time we saw these guys. In fact, there's grumbling up there that it is the very same team you see for the last 3 years. So, this is a team that's below them in the standings. They have yet to play a single game this month. This should be a layup for the Red Bulls, but yet. Remember that propensity of playing low to the to the competition? So before we even get there, tell the good folks what's the haps with Toronto FC, man.
Yeah, actually, we did play them earlier this season. You're right, we did beat them, but it was only 2-1, not 4-1. But Toronto,
that 4-1 was at Toronto. Just want to make that clear.
The last time that we beat them in Toronto.
Right, the last time we beat them in Toronto. Sorry, I should have made that clear.
Okay, no problem. Yeah, so Toronto, I just had to make sure you're correct.
Yeah,
I'm pedantic. Okay, so looking at Toronto, they are second bottom in the East. They are 14th in the East out of 15 teams. 17 games played, only 3 wins, 4 draws, and 10 losses. Oh my goodness. This club has been a mess for a while. It seems like this club has
Most
been a mess
expensive.
ever since
By the way,
what,
most expensive ticket
2019 when they
in
last
MLS.
won MLS Cup.
Most
Ever since
expensive ticket in
Bradley and
MLS.
Altidore lost their powers, they have just not been the same club
Nope.
at all. And their free fall, their descent into complete chaos. It just continues. It seems like it's never ending.
Red Patch Boys are slipping. They're slipping.
I just think they're too old. I just think they're too old. I mean, Insigne's been a mess. Bernadeschi, I give him credit. He's been faithful. He tries his hardest. But I just think
I'm serious.
I would love
I want. Miguel,
I wouldn't mind him.
You want me to? You talking about poaching a baller? I want. Okay, that dude would add some juice to this offense.
He
I
really
ain't
would.
kidding. I'm not
He really
kidding.
would. I mean, I would if I'm Jochen Schneider, director of sport, as well as Julian de Guzman, sporting director, I find a way to bring Bernadeschi here to Red Bull Arena and put him on a real playoff team. Because the truth of the matter is this: is that, like I said, I think they're a little too old. I would say a good percentage of their roster is not great. And what was already saying, Insigne has really been a nobody, basically. He showed something and then he fell and then doesn't want to be there anymore. He just doesn't want to be there anymore.
You don't want to be there.
I give Bernadeschi credit for wanting to be a part
I've never
of
seen Lanre. You and I have never seen a disinterested baller in my life. He out there and look. Let me just sign a check and let me get out of here without getting hurt and.
Yeah,
that's it.
Can you really blame Lorenzo Insigne?
No.
He came here after being an all-time club legend at Napoli. Not quite in the likes
he
of
was
Maradona,
brought in as the man,
just being a local legend, growing up.
Right, he was brought in as the man, the face of the franchise.
He was one of those players, one of those great players like Kalidou Koulibaly, Dries Mertens, and.
Keep going.
Many others have passed through that club. They never won the Serie A title with them. They never won the Scudetto with them. Toronto FC has been a complete mess, honestly, since before he got there. But despite he and Bernadeschi's arrival around the same time, they've become an even bigger mess. And it's really sad to see, a club, that has the fans have so much passion up there in Toronto.
They do.
Very knowledgeable.
I love their fan base, guys. I really do.
Yeah,
I love
one of my
fan
good
base.
friends, Charles Rommel. He's a TFC fan. He came with me to the season opener last season because he and his girlfriend were visiting from Indiana. So shout out to my boy Rommel. It really is a shame what's happened to that club. Insigne, he probably wants to get out there at the earliest opportunity. Maybe the summer window, probably at the end of this season, in the winter window. We'll see what happens with him. But this is a team that we should beat. If we don't get all 3 points, I don't care where we're playing them. If we don't get all 3 points against Toronto FC next Wednesday, then there should be hell to pay. There should be some serious additions being looked at and actually being aggressively pursued, whether in attack or defense. Personally, I think we need them more in defense because, especially at left back, I don't know about you, I cannot do another game of Raheem Edwards ball. I can't. Barely good enough for Canadian.
I will say this though, Garry. I will say this though. Look, Robin Fraser's a damn good head coach. This is not his doing. The point is this.
No,
we've
seen how good Fraser was when he was with us.
I know, exactly. So when he was Petke's assistant. Exactly. Right. So all I can say is this. I think Robin Fraser should remain as head coach of Toronto. I really don't think he should get sacked by Toronto. If Toronto is going to keep him and he's going to allow him to reshape what Toronto should be, they'll be better for it. This year, they're an absolute mess. It's a calamity, and the Red Bulls should be able to get 3 points in this one, hopefully. But some players have to just wake up. Don't ball watch like what happened against Austin. And I also want to go with, I know we're going to talk about Toronto, but I want to say it's about that game against Austin. And yeah, Edwards and Ayla are at fault for the first goal for ball watching because they did not occupy the space that Brio was at. And then while you can blame Duncan for ball watching in the start of the second half, but Ayla moved away from his position to try and play, support for Hack and Edwards at the near side. But he left Duncan all alone and allowed Brandon Vasquez to just walk in and tap it in. That's their fault. But but also, I'm not saying this is the reason also that they lost, because that's not the reason. As you said earlier in your first half, the officiating was god awful.
Oh yeah,
god awful.
It was the reason why the reason why the coach is suspended right now, because he went off. Okay?
And he had every right to. Now, of course, I didn't know. We didn't see live that he was shown the yellow card, or maybe I missed it. I don't know, but I didn't know
he got fourth official's face. He was in the referee's face. He was in the linesman's face. He was in anybody wearing a yellow shirt. Coach naturally was the referee. There was Mendoza in their face. Miguel, real quick, I know you had something to say because we're running out of show. Go ahead, man.
I can't remember now, Garry. I should have said it then.
Oh, man.
All right.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, I wanted to say something while Lanre was going on his rant about Toronto FC. But they've won MLS Cup.
Oh, this again?
Okay? We know. Stop it. It's
like, you know what?
You know what?
Hey, Mickey, you want to play that game? Chelsea's won the Champions League.
Okay. See, now we're going just a little too far. Let me just wrap this up, boys. Gotham FC. Go ahead. Come on.
That's something that Chelsea has over Arsenal. Most definitely. Okay.
And now we're bringing Arsenal once again.
Yeah, Premier League is in August. Let's move on.
Toronto FC has won MLS Cup. Don't feel too sorry for them. It's like people are like earlier in the season.
Okay, well, that I agree with you.
That's fair.
LA Galaxy. How many times have they won MLS Cup? Sure, they sucked this year, but you know what? 6 MLS Cups, man. I wish my franchise had won. I wish my franchise had won U.S. Open Cup.
Do you know how much I've been in despair with this club ever since NYCFC won MLS Cup in 2021?
All right.
Do you know how much pain I've been in since that day?
All right, we got work to do.
All right, let's move on, Garry. Let's
move on. Gotham FC, the other team that won a cup. Remember them? They won in Utah. 3-0. Yeah, 3-0. They destroyed. I mean, when I say they did these ladies dirty, I mean they just went in there, took their hat, their coat, their wallets, their boyfriends, and everything else, and walked out of there with a 3-0 lead, a 3-0 win. Gotham FC just rolled all over them. Basically, Gonzalez she recorded her 8th and 9th goals of the season. She regained the lead in the NWSL Golden Boot race. She notched her 4th brace in 2025 season, tying the league's single-season record held by 5 other players. Also marked the 7th season in the NWSL career, tying guess who? Sam Kerr for 3rd most in league history. She is rolling. And she's going to be playing for her international team in Spain. So off she goes. Everybody else is like, well, oh, thank God she's gone. But now, the story, of course, when we said in New York Red Bull 2 had some big doings, not too long. Well, first things first, they killed Chattanooga FC. Benedetti, Gutierrez, Mosquera with the penalty. Rossborough, him again. Okay, they're sick of him. Okay, Robinson with a penalty, Garvanian with a penalty. 5-2. The win propels this squad to 1st place in the Eastern Conference. Remember when these guys were sitting around in the 7th and 8th boys? Well, they shot up like a rocket, and now they're right now sitting on top. They went over Chattanooga FC. So there's some more story from this.
Garry,
go ahead.
I gotta tell you something. For whatever reason, you're not gonna believe this, but Chattanooga FC is my favorite club in the USL. Okay,
you do?
I watch them. I look for their games, bro.
Red Bulls 2 recorded 6 assists in that game, which was the most in the single in franchise history. So they ran roughshod all over, Chattanooga FC and taking over. Now, while we were away, head coach Ibrahim Sagaya was promoted to full-time assistant of the first team coach after their assistant coach left their team, so they found an able replacement. They got him. Okay, so he's been there since 2023. First team at the helm. He led Red Bull 2 to the next one Eastern Conference semifinals, and the club had an 8-14-8-6 record, finished fourth place Eastern Conference. So basically, bringing him all to the front will work out nicely, but his replacement isn't too shabby, although he's wet behind the ears. I want to ask you guys this. I'm also going to ask the fans this as they listen tonight. What are you thinking about Michael Bradley being taken over as Red Bull 2 head in HC? What's your thoughts on that?
I'm not gonna lie. I actually kind of like it. I always thought Michael had the coaching chops from his dad. He looks like his carbon copy, so I would think that he's got some of the coaching brains too. Clearly, he had all the play. He had all like the play, good player genes, because Bob never played after college, right? But
No.
yeah, I think it could be a good hire. I like that he's coming home. It feels like he never really acknowledged the start of his career with us. Although obviously, to be fair, we were a completely different club. When he was
Much
playing
different,
here, completely markedly different. It felt like he never really acknowledged, that he got his start here with us. But it feels like a homecoming in a real roundabout way. Maybe if he does well, he earns his chops at Rebel 2. He can become one day the coach for the first team. I wouldn't mind seeing that.
Okay, Miguel, your thoughts on this? I guess that if we will be asking a question during the presser on Thursday, by the way, there will be an introductory press conference, basically introducing him, to New York Red Bull 2. I guess one of the questions that me, Dan, Anthony, the whole, rest of the, the AJMFC squad is this: why here? That's really my thought. Why New York Red Bull 2? I'm not saying that New York Red Bull 2 isn't a bad squad to begin with, but the first thing to get your feet wet, would be with this organization. Is that, is am I, Miguel? Is your thoughts the same or something different?
Well, you know what? Obviously, stuff had to have gone on behind the scenes as to an opening was coming up because Sakaya was going up, and then a position as the head coach for the 2 team was up for grabs. So who knows what goes on behind the scenes, Garry. Also, I don't think it's a bad hire either, because you know what? If there's someone who has been able to pick the brain of his legend coach of a father, it would be Michael Bradley. Okay, I don't know how he'll be able to adapt whatever he's learned from his father, because here we have the system. Okay, so let's see what happens, Garry. Okay, but I don't think it's a bad hire. I don't. What I did read was that the powers that be at Red Bull view him as an up and coming, big time candidate for one of their teams in the future. Okay, so there you go.
Daniel, your thoughts, and it'll be and with that you will before we go to predictions, you have the final word on this segment.
I agree with everybody on the panel. It's a great hire. And let's not forget, as soon as Michael retired, he went straight to Norway to be with his dad at Stabæk. So he was already immersed in the coaching role. He's his assistant. He learned from his dad right away. I think a year or two. I think it was something like that. And then all of a sudden, Jesse Marsh comes out of nowhere and brings in Michael to become his assistant with the Canadian men's national team. Now, I don't know if he'll still be with Canada when they're on international duty, but, all of a sudden, I guess, it's not just Bob, but, Jesse is a Bob Bradley disciple. So Jesse probably also contacted the Red Bulls and said, listen, I've coached here. I've been, running Salzburg, assisting and running Leipzig at the time. If you feel that you're looking for a future coach down the road, once Sandro's done, I'm not saying he's done now, but he'll be whenever he moves on, and you want to give Michael Bradley an opportunity, then why not? He's from this. I mean, he was born in Princeton. He went to school in Princeton. He probably played college soccer in Princeton.
Yeah,
and of course his dad, he was at the time, under 40 pro, whatever the Pro 40 initiative was with Nike at the time, with the Select 40 team. And he scored a hell of a goal against Chivas USA, which was his first professional goal at back into that his first professional season. So, why not? He has a lot of knowledge. And now we need to see what he's going to do with
he's won games,
bossing around kids.
Yeah, I agree. He's won big games with the U.S. national team. He's won championship with Toronto FC, by the way. He's had played, in international with Toronto FC, by the way, along with excuse me, along with the U.S. men's national team. Excuse me. So he definitely has a lot of experience in this area. Whether that's going to be translated into getting the kids up to speed, that's something that we're going to need down the line. In any case, I personally think that it's a good hire. We'll see what happens there. Of course, there will be a presser at Red Bull at Sports Illustrated Stadium, and then they're going to welcome
$10, Garry.
Yep, with Julian de Guzman, and of course. With Richard Michael Bradley and Julian de Guzman, and that will take place on Thursday, June 19th at 3 p.m. That's when they're going to unveil the new head coach. Before we turn this into a night, let's talk about predictions. Here's my problem with playing Toronto FC, who hasn't played a single game in nearly a month. Okay, we all said that Toronto FC is a team that basically have seen better days. Okay, let's put it kindly. But however, the one thing that bothers me, still does, like a bad rash, is the fact that this team that we all follow and write about has a propensity to play below, their opponents. You see a team that, the rule, as Miguel famously said, I don't make the rules. If you are a bad team, you're supposed to be beat it like a rental mule. You're supposed to
beat him like a rented mule, damn it.
Yeah. Be like a rented mule. Sorry. But that's what's supposed to be. I didn't make the rules here. So, if you are said good team, you're supposed to play like good team. So, that said, I'm going to put it on the line. Since I'm going to go first, I'm expecting a 3-1 win for the Red Bulls up front. They need to take that nasty taste out of their mouth after they embarrass themselves down there in Austin, Texas. What say y'all?
I'll go first. Yeah, 3-0. 3-0 Red Bulls win. Choupo-Moting with a brace, Forsberg with the other. And Lewis Morgan 2 assists.
2 assists. I mean, let him get some trigger time. Miguel, you up.
I mean, it is an away game. And our defense sucks right now. Let's not beat around the bush.
Oh, we're not. Okay? That's not what we do here.
But then Toronto FC is famously bad this season. I'm gonna go for a 2-0 mighty New York Red Bulls victory. Thank you.
Okay, there you go. And finally, to close out the show, Daniel Feurestein. Sir, your thoughts?
Well, I do believe that they will be going in there, and they should be able to handedly take down Toronto the way they've been playing. They should air quotes, should.
Right,
I believe that this is going to be a 2-0 victory for the Red Bulls. It should be 3-0 or 4-0, but in reality, it's going to be the way they played against DC United. Yeah, they'll score their chances, but they may be a little bit hesitant once again, and they're going to try and find some confidence out there. They will, attack, and they will develop some plays, and they'll at least get 1 or 2 chances into the back of the net, but I'm going to say mirror the DC match on the road at Audi Field. But they'll still get the victory, 2-0.
Alrighty then. And with that, when you hear, of course, the wonderful music in the background, that basically means we have reached the end of our show. Daniel, tell the good fans out there where they can actually find you when you're not hanging out with us, if you please.
Well, I'm right also at Beyond the 90 at beyondthe90.substack.com. Of course, I am with AJM Sports FC, but I'm currently assisting JJ Pavlik on his Bad Dog Sports due to his injuries. So for now, I am with him, and then when my stint is over, I should be back with AJMSportsFC.com.
Hi.
Of course, I'm also now the Four Seasons Fire American Soccer Show now on YouTube through StreamYard. I also advertise on LinkedIn and on X and Blue Sky, so you can find me at capital letter D, capital letter F, lowercase EUER, S as in Sam, TEIN at Blue Sky and on X.
We must do a cross show since you're using the same platform as us. That should be fun.
It's actually been great. I've had a lot of fun.
All right. As always, remember, you can always catch our show. If this is, of course, the live broadcast. If you happen to miss it, don't sweat it. You can actually catch the recording on our YouTube channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe. You can also reach us on X. That's going to be up there the next day. And, of course, our home since the very beginning, which is Spotify.com. Don't forget, if you have any questions or comments or anything you want to add long after we sign off, you can reach us on our email address, which is rbdgthepodcast@gmail.com. And we welcome you guys to actually do just that. So our next show, in case you're wondering, we're going to take yet another week off. Our next show is on Monday the 30th, because that'll be after the Toronto FC game. We hope to see you guys there. So until then, for Miguel Nunez, Lanre Bad Muster Model, and of course our good friend Daniel Feurestein, thanks so much for joining us in this last hour. We actually went 18 minutes over, but we had a lot to talk about because we haven't seen you guys in a while, and we'll see you guys on the 30th. Until then, boys and girls, thanks a lot for joining us. We will see you then. Until then, good night and goodbye for now.